A couple of things that were mentioned already having to do with representation. Yes, they will appoint a lawyer to handle the closing, but you also want representation. The person who's handling the closing can also represent you as a buyer. And that'll save you money. So if you are coming to me and I get the title order, what they call it, and I'm representing you for the purchase and sale agreement, I'm not going to charge you to do the purchase and sale. So that's going to save you. But a couple of things I want to talk about that everyone touched upon. I do work for some other lenders. This is my favorite place to work with. Okay, they're the lowest fees. You're saving about $2,000 to $2,500 just when you go with them, and that's a real number. Okay, so that frees up money for uh, adding to your offer or just having an attorney, as Chip said. I have these notes. Don't schedule your closing on a Friday. Just don't do it, because if things go wrong, you're going to be stuck for the weekend.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen on Monday. Realtors, they don't pay attention to holidays. Don't do it on Friday before a holiday. There's so many dates. Look at your calendar when you want to schedule your closing. Okay. So you're going to go to all these open houses, and I agree with Chip. You want to have a lawyer rather than a realtor sometimes, but on a Sunday, you're not going to be able to always get in touch with a lawyer, and you're battling against all these other people who are going to be bidding on these places, and you can't get yours in. They're going to accept something Sunday night, and you can't get it in. But if you talk to me or you talk to another lawyer, and you say, I'm going on Sunday, I want you to be on call to put this through, then we obviously could do that for you. And then once you put your offer to purchase in, then there's certain steps that go on. Once it gets accepted, then I don't really love to recommend waiving the inspection, but you are up against all these other people who are saying, well, I'll give you the same price, but I'll waive the inspection. They're going to want to go with you. But you can do an inspection and just say, I want to do an inspection for informational purposes. And then if you don't end up doing the purchase and sale agreement, if you end up backing out, you'll get your $1,000 back. So that's a tactic you could use. At least you could walk away from it. But that's the only first place that you can walk away. The only second time that you can walk away is if you don't get your mortgage commitment after you put that money in. Why do you want to have an attorney? It's a very emotional experience. You might not like the person that you're buying it from, the house. And if you're going to be speaking directly to them or directly to one of their representatives, then you're going to get heated and you might end up blowing the deal. So, you can use me as the attorney as a filter. You can yell at me and then I can make it sound nice. So let's go back to this. So the purchase and sale agreement, what usually happens is you would call me, you'd say, we got an accepted offer. I'd say, I think I agree with Chip about what's going on with this new law. However, there's sort of a lag, so nothing's happened just yet. Right now, everybody's still handling splitting fees, the brokers, just as they have been for all these years. But it will catch up. But I would say in the next 6 months, I don't see that happening. But I could be wrong. So having a broker isn't. If you have a good broker, like Chip said, it's really good. It's like having a good attorney too, but they're not an attorney. So don't let them do a purchase and sale agreement for you. Don't let them tell you that you don't need a lawyer. There's just so many reasons that you need the layer of having an attorney in order to represent you. So what's in the purchase and sale agreement? Legal obligations of the parties, property description. If you've agreed to, and that's another thing, when you're doing your offer, if you like the drapes, you want to put it in the offer, I want these drapes. And everybody's going to agree, I want the door knocker. Crazy things that people want. I want the washing machine. That's not crazy. I want certain fixtures, certain lights, certain things that you think that they can take out. You want that in there because when I go to do the purchase and sale agreement, and the seller sends me, the seller does the draft usually, and I go to do the revisions, and I put something in that you told me. They'll say, well, it's not in the offer, so it's not included, and then you're in a whole new negotiation stance, and you're at a disadvantage. So you want to make sure if you like something in the house that you want to be clear that it goes into the offer. Your price is going to be there, your deposit. The amount's usually $1,000 with the offer, and it can vary with respect to what you're going to put for the purchase and sale agreement. Try to get the lowest amount possible, because if something goes awry, you could lose that deposit. You don't want it to be the 20%, the 5%. What are your rights if the deal fails? The deal, you have an out if you don't get the loan. If there's a title issue, then the seller will have a certain amount of time to be able to correct that. And if they can't, you can get out then. Who holds the funds? It's usually going to be the listing broker, and they'll just hold it in escrow. Sometimes you can arrange it so that the attorney holds the funds. The key terms and conditions, you'll have the float in the purchase and sale agreement, you'll have the closing date, the time and the place will usually be at the closing attorney's office. The broker fees have already been decided, but those will be in the purchase and sale agreement. Who pays when paid? Closing conditions, you have your mortgage contingency, you'll have to have that you'll have to get your loan approved by a certain date. General inspection, we talked about the septic. If there's septic, then you need title. There's going to be a Title V that's going to have to be put together by the sellers, and they're going to have to prove that it passed. Environmental inspections, radon. You can have in your purchase and sale agreement that radon has to meet a certain requirement, and usually I think it's 4.0. I don't know what the measurement is, but you could say in the purchase and sale agreement, if it's higher than the 4.0, then the seller's going to have to put a mitigation system in. They'll have final water. If there's any special issues with assessments with condominiums, you want to discuss that. We talked about if the sale doesn't close, the buyer's obligations. You can get your deposit back if you don't get the loan, and the seller has a certain amount of time to fix any possible title issues. Title insurance. There's two policies. There's a lender's policy that the lender makes you buy for them. You're paying for both of them. And then there's an optional owner's policy, which I don't think should ever be optional, because if you go to sell your property and you have owner's title insurance, then if there's a title issue, you can send that issue to your title insurance company. They'll write a letter saying, we'll take care of it for you, and then you'll have a seamless closing. If you don't have the owner's policy, then you're gonna have to hire somebody to fix it, and that could break the deal. Okay.
What could be an example of something that you might find like down the road that you should have for owner's policy? An example of something that,
if there's a missing discharge, if there was a foreclosure issue, it's anything that led up to your transaction. So
There's lots of missing discharges out there.
there's a lot of missing discharges up there, and sometimes a bank goes out of business, and then you have these title clearing companies that can take care of it, but that takes time. And you want to have a clean policy. You want to have a clean title in order to sell, and a buyer's going to require that. And you don't want them to have a reason to back out. So if you have that owner's policy, you've done everything that you need to do. They'll have to still go. That's for the future when you sell. And you only pay one time for that owner's policy. It's a formula. And you'll have the final walkthrough before closing. There'll be the delivery of the deed and the recording of the documents. Now you don't have to go to the registry anymore. It'll usually be what they call a mail away, where the sellers will sign everything ahead of time. They'll FedEx it to, my office. Then you'll just come in. It's just me and the buyers, and it's Waters or whatever you guys like. And then you leave in like a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And then I submit everything. I upload it up in the computer, and it's done within a couple hours. So it's really much easier. And it used to be like a sweaty room with a bunch of realtors in there and everybody wanting their money. And now that doesn't happen. It's much more relaxed.